Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 1 of college football is officially in the books. And while it was an unbelievable week, one that was filled with tons of upsets, tons of thrilling finishes, and really just no better way to kick off the college football season, it's now time to shift all of our focus to week 2. And so today, guys, we are here with our 5 biggest games of week 2 that do not include ranked versus ranked teams. We will have individual prediction videos for every ranked versus ranked matchups, but we're going to break down the 5 biggest games that maybe you aren't thinking about, that 5 biggest games that could be flying under the radar. We're here to talk about these games and share our projected winners for each of them. Before we jump into that analysis, guys, again, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're thrilled to have you here. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, guys. We are nearing 10,000 subscribers. There's about 70 subs away from that, so help us get to that mark before the start of week 2. Also, make sure to check out everything down in the description below. Guys, we have our expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com, and those are some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. We've hit over 60% of our bets each of the last 2 weeks. And so, guys, you're going to go over there. You're going to get one of the lowest prices in the country for some of the best picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national analysts. And our week 2 picks for college football and week 1 picks for the NFL just went up on our website today. So if you've not signed up, go sign up, become a part of our GE Nation. Again, the expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com. Sign up for those today. We promise you, you're not going to regret it. So let's take a look at these 5 games, guys. Again, we have all the bigger games. We're going to be talking about those later on in the week. We have 4 individual videos we're going to talk about. But let's take a look at these 5 games here. Starting at the top of the SEC, South Carolina at number 16, Arkansas. Arkansas, a very interesting story this season. A team that could be very dangerous and a potential SEC maybe playoff dark horse when it's all said and done. But the Gamecocks travel to Fayetteville to take on the Razorbacks. They have not met since 2017. But South Carolina and Arkansas did meet annually every single year from 1992 to 2013. Both came into the SEC, met every single year for 21 years, but have not met since 2017. This is going to be a fun quarterback battle, right? Obviously, South Carolina was getting a lot of hype this offseason because of their addition of Spencer Rattler. So now you've got Rattler, who comes into this game taking on KJ Jefferson, a guy who really put the team on his back last week when Arkansas took down Cincinnati. I will say right now, I believe Arkansas does own the quarterback advantage. I believe they clearly own the QB edge with KJ Jefferson. Excellent passer, also amazing dual threat ability. While I believe South Carolina might even own the edge with the secondary, Arkansas defensively as a whole, to me, owns that advantage. Arkansas allowed 325 passing yards. South Carolina allowed 200 rushing yards last week. Arkansas, a very balanced attack that's going to want to pound you both through the air but also on the ground with their core and really trio of running backs that they have. I don't think South Carolina's going to be able to stop that Razorback running core, especially with the dual threat ability of KJ Jefferson. Also factor in that South Carolina beat Georgia State last week by 21, but 2 of those touchdowns came off of blocked punts for touchdowns. That's not going to happen again in Fayetteville. So if you take those away, they really only beat Georgia State by 1 touchdown. This game should be over midway through the third quarter. Arkansas should run away with a double-digit victory over the Gamecocks in week 2. Going down to Texas, number 25 Houston at Texas Tech. This should be a very fun game, one that's not getting enough attention. Again, let's keep in mind, guys, that last year Texas Tech gave Houston their only regular season loss last year. The Cougars won 12 games in 2021. One of their losses was to Cincinnati in the American Athletic Championship game. The other was to Texas Tech, beginning of the year. Beat them 38-21. Now look at this game, guys. I don't understand why so many people are high on Houston entering this game in Lubbock. The Cougars needed a big-time comeback to beat UTSA on the road in 3 overtimes, beating them 37-35. And they needed a big-time comeback for there. Play calling was very questionable. You got a great quarterback in Clayton Tune, and they just weren't throwing the football. It blew my mind that Houston struggled so much in that game. We knew UTSA was going to be good, but they shouldn't have struggled, in my opinion, as much as they did. Texas Tech, yes, and your first game under Joey McGuire beat Murray State. That's nothing really to brag about, but they did put up 605 yards of offense, 472 of those coming through the air. We do know Tyler Shugg will not be available for Texas Tech in this game, getting injured in that Murray State game, but that's okay because Donovan Smith who was the MVP of the Liberty Bowl last year for the Red Raiders, is going to be the quarterback entering this game. He had, 4 touchdowns last week against Murray State. And you look at the numbers again, Houston allowed 337 passing yards to UTSA. 337 passing yards to the Roadrunners. Texas Tech can put up that and maybe then some. Houston's secondary and defense as a whole, not as good as they were last year. On the road in Lubbock, Texas Tech beat them by 17 last year. I don't think it's by as much again, but Joey McGuire gets a signature victory in his second game as head coach over a top 25 opponent. Iowa State at Iowa. That's going to be a fun one, right? The Cy-Hawk Trophy game. Whew, man, I don't know what to make of this game, right? Iowa was downright awful in week 1, beating South Dakota State 7-3 and didn't even score a touchdown. They had, 2 safeties and a field goal. Outscored the Jackrabbits 4-0 in the second half. Absolutely ridiculous. The Hawkeyes offense seems to be worse than they were last year. A lot of people didn't even think that could be possible. But they did get the win nonetheless. Both teams are 1-0. Iowa State, meanwhile, beat Southeast Missouri, beat them 42-10. Has a new quarterback now in Hunter Deckers, who threw for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns. Xavier Hutchinson had 128 of those yards and 3 touchdowns. So the offense for Iowa State seemed to be clicking, but obviously Southeast Missouri's defense, nothing like Iowa's defense. The Hawkeyes, still have one of the better defenses in the country. And that's what it ultimately comes down to, guys. People are bragging about Iowa State and how good their run game was last week, how good the offense looked, and it did look good, 100%. And I do believe that as the year goes on, they're only going to get better, and that maybe the Cyclones might be better than some people think. But I don't know if they're going to have enough to beat Iowa on the road. I've been torn on this game ever since Saturday ended. I didn't know which way to go. But Iowa, guys, still has won 6 straight over Iowa State. They've won 6 straight games over the Cyclones. The game is at Kinnick Stadium. It's a very big home field advantage there. And last year, Iowa didn't have much of an offense either. Still managed to beat the Cyclones 27-17 in Ames, behind the strength of their defense. Didn't have much of an offense last year, still beat them by 10 points behind the strength of their defense. And you can make an argument that Iowa State's team last year, talent-wise, with guys like Brock Purdy and Breece Hall and guys like that, was better and more experienced than what Iowa State has now. So in Iowa City, with the strength of their defense, I don't feel great about it, but I'm going with Iowa here. It's going to be close, but give me the Hawkeyes behind the strength of their defense to make it 7 straight against the Cyclones. One of those games, again, where you just can't pick Iowa State to win the game, and then until you finally see it. Last 2 here, Arizona State and number 11, Oklahoma State. I've had this game circled on my calendar since the preseason. I think this is a very intriguing non-conference matchup. Obviously, Arizona State under so much speculation. What's going to come of them in the following months, if that, with all the violations that's been handed to them, the NCAA scandal they've got going on there. But Herm Edwards, regardless, still on the sidelines. They won their game last week against Northern Arizona 40-3. Arizona State obviously dealing with a bunch of new transfers. Emory Jones transferred in at quarterback from Florida. 152 passing yards last week with 48 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Xavier Valladay transferring in from Wyoming at running back. Probably the biggest addition to that offense, if you ask me. 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. The new look offense looks solid for the Sun Devils. One that could give Oklahoma State some issues there, considering they allowed 44 points to Central Michigan last week. But let's keep in mind, Oklahoma State at one point was up like 37 points over the Chippewas. I think they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, allowed Central Michigan to get back into it, but by that point, it was too late. Spencer Sanders, meanwhile, looked drastically improved. 406 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, 57 rushing yards, and 2 more touchdowns on the ground. So 6 total touchdowns for Spencer Sanders. Took very good care of the football, looked very poised, and that wide receiver core for Oklahoma State looks very solid considering how young they really are. You look at Oklahoma State as a whole, I think their defense improves a little bit from week 1 to week 2. They're able to bottle up Xavier Valladay and force Emory Jones to win the game through the air, something that I do not think he is capable of doing. Factor in home field advantage, and I like Oklahoma State at home in Stillwater to get this win over a quality non-conference team. And then finally, guys, into the Pac-12. Number 10, USC, way too high of a ranking if you ask me, at Stanford. Why is this game important? Well, it's important for a bunch of different reasons. One of them, though, is it's Lincoln Riley's first Pac-12 game. They beat Rice last week, murdered Rice, and now he's playing in his first conference game as head coach of USC. Factor in a little bit of revenge as well. Stanford beat USC last year 42-28, and that kind of spelled the end of the season, really, for USC, in spite of being so early on in the year. Stanford has also won 5 of the last 8 against the Trojans. So Stanford, no matter how good they are, how bad they are, they never back down from the Trojans. They really play their best against USC. The Stanford defense, guys, is one that we said was going to be pretty solid. We expect the defense to be good. The question is, are they good enough to stop this USC offense, led by Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, guys like that, a team that put up 66 points and 538 yards last year? Are they going to have enough to shut that down? And the bigger question also, too, for USC is we questioned their defense. Their defense looked pretty good, had 3 pick sixes last week against Rice. Don't put too much stock into it, but still hard to do. Can they stop Tanner McKee in this Stanford offense? Tanner McKee, 308 yards to the air last week against Colgate. I think this game, guys, might be a little bit closer than people think. Again, rivalry game. Stanford typically plays USC close. It is at Stanford, but ultimately, guys, USC has too much offensively that 1 or 2 mistakes by Stanford, even just a 3 and out, could spell the end of it. If USC is able to exploit that Stanford defense and get up by double digits, the Cardinals are done. Because I don't believe they're going to have enough to crawl back into that thing with as electric as this USC offense can be. So it is on the road. It is a little bit closer, but ultimately USC does get the win. I don't think it means they're a top 10 team by any means, but they will be starting the year 2-0. Lincoln Riley gets his first Pac-12 conference victory as head coach of the Trojans, and then the schedule might start to get a little bit tougher from there. So, guys, there you have it. We do have 4 ranked versus ranked matchups, or 3 ranked versus ranked matchups, and then obviously the Bama-Texas game that we do want to talk about later on tonight. What's called College Game Day is going, so of course we're going to do a video over it. But these are 5 games that may be flying under the radar that maybe you're like, I might watch it, might flip through the channels, but actually have the potential to be really, really good and could affect not just conference races, but the national stage as well. So keep an eye on these 5 games, the more underrated games of Week 2. We got a big week coming ahead, guys, and we can't wait to get it started. So again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Guys, we're getting so close to 10,000 subscribers. Help us get there by the end of the week. We're going to have a big live stream celebration if we can get there. So help us get to that point. And of course, make sure to check out everything down in the description below. Again, those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Our picks just came out today for this upcoming week, and again, we're hitting over 60% of our bets so far this season, so do not miss out on that. Become a part of our GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.